Hi, this is Bruce, and in this video we're going to track scroll position in order to animate an image. Of course, this technique could be used in a number of other creative ways as well. Sites often use scroll position to accomplish a number of different tasks, including animations, loading more content for user interactions, and modifying user interfaces. In addition to common JavaScript methods and properties like query selector, class list add and remove, and inner HTML, we will use request animation frame, offset top, scroll top, and window inner height. Let's get scrolling. We'll start by setting up request animation frame. So I've already set up a page here that has an intro, an about section, and an activity section. And the idea is that when we scroll to the activity section, the image will fade in, which will help focus the user's attention. So I've got an HTML page here, and you can see I've got the sections set out for the intro and the about and the activity section. I've got some CSS set up here just with some basic stuff. I've got things set up for the header and the nav. I have a scroll info element where we can put information about our scrolling, as well as the sections and a footer. And I've also connected a JavaScript file where we can do our JavaScript. So I'm going to start off by setting up a request animation frame. So now let's add a request animation frame that calls a function called update scroll every time the frame animates. And now let's build that function. And inside that function, we want to also recall request animation frame so that every time the frame is updated or rewritten, it will run through the function again. And then we'll log to the console that we've called that function. And so you can see here, for I assume 60 frames per second, it's calling that function. And now let's get that scroll top position by first of all creating a variable. And we'll set it to 0 to start out. And then on every frame update, we'll update the variable to be equal to the document element, which essentially is our HTML element, scroll top property. And I just made a spelling mistake here, so change that. And this needs to be in curly braces inside the template literal. So these are backticks. And let's see if that works. So now you can see as I'm scrolling up and down, we're getting the position from the scroll top. Obviously, this isn't a very effective way. So I'm going to create an element and put it inside the scroll info bar here. So let's create that element. Based on the scroll info right here. And update the inner HTML to be equal to that scroll top position. And now you can see, right, our scroll top position, so the number of pixels from that we've scrolled down from the top of the page, is getting updated as we scroll. So the next thing we want to do is we want to see get the offset, or how many pixels from the very top of the page this image is. And so we can see this image is inside the activity section inside a figure. And then we can put that into the activity info. And again, I will use backticks. So creating a template literal. And now I can see that the image is offset from the top of the page by 1807 pixels. So as we scroll up, you can see, right, when the top of the image gets to there, or top of the figure, it's about 1807. So next we want to set up some CSS in order that the figure starts off hidden. You can see I've already got a class of hidden assigned to it. So let's come in here and do figure and set the opacity to 100% or 1. And then we'll add a transition for opacity of 2 seconds, which is longer than I would usually do, but should be good for this demo. And then create the class of hidden, setting the opacity to 0.1. So now you can see our image has an opacity of 10% and we can barely see it. Now what we want to do with every update of our frame is to check to see if that image is in the viewport, and then we will remove the hidden class so it will become more visible. So in order to do that, we're going to calculate to see if the offset of the image minus the scrolling, so how far we've scrolled, is less than the window inner height. And if that's true, then we're going to remove the hidden class. And else, if it's not true, then we're going to add that hidden class back. So you can see here, it's the hidden class on the figure has been removed. If we scroll it out of view, you can see it's hidden, and if I scroll back in quickly, you can see it appears. Or if I use the button, you can see it appears. But possibly what we want to do to make it a little bit more apparent is have it scroll into view till it gets about halfway up the window before we make that transition. So then what we can do is change the window height to be the window height minus the window height divided by 2. And now if we look at it, you can see if it's only about halfway up into the viewport, it's faded out. And then if we bring it all the way up into the viewport, we can see it. So there we've used request animation frame in order to be able to update what we're seeing on the screen with each frame, or roughly 60 frames per second. And we've combined that with the properties scroll top, offset top, inner height, in order to be able to calculate when that image is in the viewport, and then removing the hidden class in order that the opacity changes from 0 to 1 or 0.1 to 1, and then adding that hidden class back in if it scrolls out of the viewport. I hope this helps.